Ake-Little does not fit neatly into any one professional category, which may be exactly why he is effective at all of them. He is a former biology teacher, a doctoral researcher, a union president, a school district HR executive, and now a law student at Temple University's Beasley School of Law. Those are not parallel careers. They are a single, deliberate argument that the organizations shaping people's lives need leaders who understand them from every angle simultaneously. I ask what the data say, what the law requires, and what the human impact will be, Ake-Little says. That integrated perspective helps me build solutions that are not only compliant but also durable, credible, and humane. That framing, rigorous but emphatically people-centered, has defined the arc of a career that started in a Philadelphia charter school classroom and now stretches across labor law, HR strategy, and organizational design. Ake-Little began his career teaching AP Biology, first at the Charter High School for Architecture and Design, a low-income public school in inner-city Philadelphia, and later at the Agnes Irwin School, an elite suburban prep school. That contrast was formative. The students were equally capable, he will tell you, but the systems around them were not. That observation pushed him away from the classroom and toward the structures that determined outcomes in the first place. At Agnes Irwin, he inherited a struggling AP Biology program mid-year and overhauled it entirely, producing a 20 percentage point gain in exam scores by year's end. He describes that experience not primarily as a pedagogical win but as proof of a leadership principle. When you set high expectations, communicate clearly, and believe in people's potential, the results follow. From education, he moved into administration, securing a 10-year, $10 million grant from GlaxoSmithKline as Assistant Director of STEM Academies for the School District of Philadelphia. Then came a pivot that most HR executives never make. He became a union president. As president of the Temple University Graduate Students Association, AFT Local 6290, Ake-Little led collective bargaining for more than 800 graduate teaching and research assistants. Nobody on his team had negotiated a contract before. They learned labor law, healthcare projections, and institutional finance in real time while representing a bargaining unit with genuinely competing interests. What allowed us to succeed was humility and rigor, he says. We asked questions constantly, did more research than we thought possible, and learned to listen, really listen, to each other and to our members. He later served as executive director of AFT Pennsylvania, where he led support for over 36,000 members across 60-plus affiliates statewide, including navigating those affiliates through the operational and legal complexity of the COVID-19 pandemic. That labor leadership background is not incidental to his HR career. It is the foundation of it. Ake-Little went on to serve as Director of Human Resources for the Wallingford Swarthmore and Southern Lehigh school districts. He managed multi-million-dollar personnel budgets, built compensation frameworks, oversaw benefits administration, and redesigned educator evaluation systems. But his experience on the union side meant he approached each of those functions differently than most HR directors would. He understood the employee perspective not theoretically but firsthand. HR is not an administrative afterthought, he says. Every decision in HR sits at the intersection of people, finance, policy, and culture. During his time at Temple University, where he earned his PhD in urban education, Ake-Little taught himself to program in R, a statistical language he used to build time series econometric models analyzing how teacher compensation affected retention across Pennsylvania. The dissertation was a finalist for an Outstanding Dissertation Award from the American Educational Research Association. The research produced findings that continue to shape how he advises executives. Competitive pay matters, particularly early in a career, but once a basic threshold of financial adequacy is met, additional salary increases have diminishing returns if working conditions, supervision, and organizational trust are poor. Retention is not a single lever problem. That kind of empirical grounding shapes his approach to a problem that many organizations handle reactively: the gap between legal compliance, HR strategy, and what employees actually experience. One of the most common gaps is that organizations treat these as separate conversations, he explains. Legal compliance is often handled reactively. HR strategy is discussed in terms of hiring and retention. Employee needs are addressed only after a problem surfaces. When those areas are disconnected, organizations may end up technically compliant but culturally ineffective. His prescription is not complex. It is integration, and then simplification. Good legal thinking, he argues, should reduce ambiguity rather than add process. The best HR policies, in his view, are ones people rarely notice because they function smoothly and fairly in the background. Ake-Little's decision to pursue a JD at Temple's Beasley School of Law is, by his own account, less a career change than a completion. Legal training, he says, adds clarity, defensibility, and process to everything he already knows. It sharpens thinking about risk and due process in ways that HR judgment alone cannot fully provide. He is not abandoning HR for the law. He is building the case for a kind of leadership that the field increasingly demands but rarely finds. Someone who can move between workforce analytics, employment law, labor relations, and organizational design without losing fluency in any of them. Strong HR leaders will need fluency not only in benefits or employee relations, but also in legal risk, governance, workforce analytics, and organizational design, he says. The most effective leaders will be those who can translate between those domains. He sees the next decade of HR as a discipline that will be forced to reckon with AI governance, expanded employee rights awareness, greater regulatory scrutiny, and the mounting pressure to demonstrate that workplace practices actually produce what organizations claim they value. Research, he believes, will play a larger role in separating tradition from evidence. Ake-Little started college as a pre-medical student and left after his first year. He became a teacher, then a researcher, then a labor advocate, then an HR executive, and now a law student. His mother, who was first his undergraduate philosophy professor at Drexel University before becoming family through adult adoption, helped him see that the life he was building was his own to define. He carries that perspective into how he mentors others and how he thinks about professional identity. Careers rarely unfold the way we imagine, he says, and some of the most meaningful paths begin where plans end. What Ake-Little has built is not a resume of credentials. It is a sustained argument that the most pressing problems in organizational life, how institutions treat people, how decisions are made, how systems either create opportunity or foreclose it, require leaders who refuse to stay in one lane. In a field that often rewards specialization, he is making the case for something harder to find and harder to replicate: genuine breadth, backed by genuine depth.